Hi, I'm Erica. I am a personal chef in New York City. Personal chef is kind of another way for saying that I am a professional meal prepper. I go into people's homes, I meal prep for them, I stock it away in their fridges. Today we are in my kitchen because I'm about to do a mini meal prep situation and thought it would be fun to take you along with me. So let's talk a little bit about what makes this meal prep mini, because we are actually making enough food for me and my spouse Quentin for probably around 2 to 3 days of lunches and dinners, but I'm only gonna spend about an hour of hands-on time making it, so I guess like the timing is mini. We're making quite a few dishes and a decent amount of food, but we are not going to be spending very much time doing it, which I feel like is a win-win. We kind of need to talk about how we are going to get this mini meal prep done so quickly, because yes, I'm taking you along with me to show you what I'm doing, but I also want you to come away from the video with the feeling that you can cook. We're getting comfy in the kitchen together here. So I wrote an entire newsletter on the topic of mini meal preps, and there are some core tenets that I abide by to make a meal prep mini or a super quick. The first one is that we are centering the entire meal prep around one pot, relatively easy dish. The second thing is that we are going to be keeping our knife work to a minimum. The main knife work we're doing for this meal prep is for our beans, and that's gonna keep things really speedy. Third, we are going to be utilizing our oven while I'm doing other things, which is like the peak of multitasking. Fourth, and speaking of multitasking, we are going to be using a game plan. I have talked a lot about game plans in previous videos. I will link a couple below, of course, for you to take a peek at, but basically all it is a list of order of operations that we're going to follow to make sure that we're multitasking efficiently. And before we get on to the final way that we're going to really speed this meal prep up, I have to remind you, please do like and subscribe. It helps me immensely, and it makes it possible for us to keep getting comfy in the kitchen together. Fifth, and finally, the way that we are making this meal prep mini or making it go quickly is that we are focusing on some pretty basic, simple flavors, but we're going to make a couple of sauces and dips to really amp things up and mix things up throughout the week. So we're focusing our attention on those flavor helpers rather than making our dishes super complicated. Let me quickly run through what we're making today. So we're centering this meal prep around the beans. We're actually not gonna start with the beans. We're starting with some rice. We're also making some really simple roasted Yukon Gold potatoes. We're making some really yummy, slow-ish roasted garlicky tomatoey green beans that I'm pumped to be eating throughout the week. And then our final side is going to be a celery and blue cheese salad with a really yummy garlicky mustardy vinaigrette. That is going to be the first of our sauces because I'm gonna make extra that I can toss onto other salads over the course of the week. And for our second sauce, I have a little bit of a trick up my sleeve. We will get to it. Let's dive right in. I'm gonna get myself suited up, hair out of my face, apron on, all that good stuff, and then we're gonna get to cooking. We are cooking. It's really fun to have you here with me. It's like having someone to keep me company, which I love. It's been a little under 30 minutes. We have the beans started over here, and I just noticed my spoon is in there, so let me get it out. So we have the rice going. It's gonna act as a lovely palette for other meals throughout the week, including the beans that we're making right now. The next thing that I did was get the beans started, and let me tell you a little bit about these beans. I soaked overnight, drained and rinsed, and they're going into a pot with a red bell pepper that I minced, an onion, a carrot, a couple of celery stalks that I minced up, some lovely pancetta that's acting as the fat and flavor in this dish. So once I've got the mirepoix, or that mixture of veggies and pancetta, all cooked down and soft and lovely, I'm gonna add my spices in, and I'm just using a hodgepodge of what I had. I always like to include a bay leaf with beans because I feel like it just really brings the flavors together. Then once all my spices are simmering away with the mirepoix, I'm going to add the beans, add water to cover the beans plus about an inch, and then let it simmer. One of the tricks to this mini meal prep is that those beans are not going to be done in an hour. Even though I soak them overnight, they are definitely going to take 2 to 3 hours, but it's hands off. Oh, also, I should say, I really like to salt that bean broth water quite well, and I do that to taste. It should taste pretty salty. Woo! So that's about the beans. Next, I got the potatoes wrapped up and into the oven, and now I'm going to turn my focus to the rest of the meal prep for the remaining 30-ish minutes. We are making progress. Okay, we're doing super well. I'm almost done with all of the hands-on stuff, and it's been about 50 minutes-ish. Let me talk to you about the green beans and the celery salad that are so simple and so good. For the green beans, all I did was toss them with whole cherry tomatoes, salt, olive oil, and a few cloves of crushed garlic, and now they're going in the oven at 350 until the tomatoes are nice and starting to caramelize and get ooey gooey, and the garlic is cooked through and the beans are cooked through. It'll probably take anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes. And then for the celery salad, again, it's so simple. All I did was cut some celery on a bias into thin pieces, probably about an entire head of celery, and then a handful of parsley that I roughly chopped, and tossed that together with some blue cheese, and then the really yummy, I've been obsessed with this dressing lately, and it's so simple. All it is equal parts olive oil, white vinegar, a hefty pinch of salt, a tablespoon of mustard, and a grated garlic clove, a shaky, and it comes together, and I drizzled a little bit of that onto my celery salad, and I'll dress it more later, but this is just to kind of like infuse the flavor. Now, we are getting to our last item. It is being made with this store-bought favorite. I found this hanging out in my pantry. We are going to use this onion soup / dip mixture. And I'm gonna make a yogurt dip with it. It's gonna be super yummy, and it's a little bit lighter than when you make it with sour cream. And I don't mean like diet type light. I just mean it eats a little lighter because yes, diet culture stuff. We're not here for it here. I wanna be able to use this for my beans, and I just think it would be a little overpowering using sour cream. I'm just gonna mix this into this, and then it's done. Again, so simple. Definitely not rocket science, but it's quick. It comes together super quickly. It's an example of no knife work, and also an example of making a really flavorful sauce that's gonna make this meal prep just mini and delicious. All right, I'm gonna get to doing that, and then we'll be completely done with the hands-on stuff, and I'll check in with you. The hands-on stuff is all done. My beans are simmering away on the stove. My green beans are still baking in the oven. My potatoes are still baking in the oven. The rice is done, the 2 sauces are done, and the celery salad is all done. So I'm just gonna use this time to clean up. A few things will come out of the oven. The beans will come off of the stove. The reason that I decided to film myself doing this today is because this is typically the way that I meal prep for myself, and I just wanted to show you that meal prep does not have to be some big unmanageable thing. It can be simply setting aside an hour to an hour and a half and getting a few larger batches of items cooked up for yourself later in the week. My main point is that meal prep is what you want it to be, and this mini meal prep is usually what I want meal prep to be. So if you liked this, if you want to see more mini meal prep, please let me know in the comment section down below. Oh, And one more thing before I go. These are non-recipe recipes for me, but I did leave you kind of loose instructions down in the box below. So if you want to replicate this, you can take a peek, or if you just like the idea for one of these dishes, you can take a peek down below. That's it from me. Until next week, I hope you have a lovely, well-fed week ahead.